Welcome back to Fast Market, everybody. Kevin Hinks and Nick Theodorakis back for Cash Tag segment. Now I'd like to bring in the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, Mr. Andy Swan, to the show. And he's going to look at our second trade of the day, very similar to our first trade of the day, which is PepsiCo. Andy, I have a simple question for you. There's been some crazy headlines coming out in the last week or so with data from Walmart about Ozempic and weight loss drugs and their effect on some of these consumer staples. My question for you is, does any LikeFolio data back up this theory that has frankly sent these stocks down much more volatile than they normally trade, Andy?
Yeah, happy Monday. I think I agree with you. Those headlines seemed crazy, and they made us really second guess what we were looking at in terms of LikeFolio data, because we're not seeing anything of the sort in terms of, in terms of the consumer appetite for what Pepsi makes and for snacks in general, for Pepsi brands. We don't see anything that compares to what Walmart is talking about. In fact, we see mentions of PepsiCo products up 12% year over year. Consumer happiness with PepsiCo products, which you mentioned before, is a very broad and diverse set of products, from everything from drinks to snacks. Happiness up 4%. The company reported earnings and revenue last quarter that exceeded expectations. They raised their full year outlook. And our data saying pretty much everything they make is popping with the consumer. So I don't know where all this comes from. I don't know if this was an excuse by Walmart or specific to Walmart customers. I really can't figure it out, because everything we have on the LikeFolio Consumer Insight side of the table says Pepsi is doing very, very well with the consumer, and we see absolutely no reason to think that there's a significant slowdown in terms of the consumption of the snacker, generally speaking.
Andy, you get to cover beer with us on Friday and the caffeinated side of the equation on Monday. So this is
the way we roll,
back-to-back one. Nice to see you.
Excellent.
That's how we do it. Do you think there's any sentiment? And I'm just wondering what you guys track in terms of store brands, because you think about inflation and the whole picture we've talked about, right? You can buy Coke or Pepsi, or you can also buy Walmart brand, soda, right? Cola, or the other knockoff products, and chips as well. I wonder if that's weighing into Walmart specifically, if you're seeing any change in sort of the consumer's appetite for store brands, given the higher prices we're seeing out there.
Yeah, that's something we do look at quite often. And a lot of times you're right. When the consumer's wallet's getting pinched a little bit, they will go to store brand. But what we've seen historically is that that's really not true when it comes to snack items, and soft drinks. Those are two places where the consumer really has strong brand preference and tends to stick with that. It's more in the laundry, detergents, and soaps and things like that. I think that people are more willing to go to store brands. But I don't know exactly what's going on at Walmart. Maybe they have had a significant, success with a store brand, or maybe they've just, laid their store out incorrectly to capture those kind of impulse buys. I'm really not sure, because it was just not something we're seeing in our data in terms of a slowdown in snacks or soft drink consumption or demand or even consumer happiness. So I'm kind of bewildered. I'm very interested to see what Pepsi says about this tomorrow. I think that they could give the Wall Street and investors a big sigh of relief tomorrow if they come out and say, no, we're sticking with our full year outlook. And we really just don't know what Walmart was talking about with this. We think it's been a little bit overhyped. That's what I expect for them to say. I'd be surprised if they say anything different.
Yeah, listen, if I'm craving Fritos, I am not interested in your corn chips, in your generic corn chips, dude. I'm going something with the last that ends in Edo on that. So I understand the attraction for more generic, off-brand chips, but don't mess with my salty snacks. That is my Achilles heel, always has been. But Andy, are you seeing in your data, are you seeing any other subtle change, anything more subtle than obviously this blowout story that's affected the stock so much? Is there anything else that's more subtle that we should be paying attention to?
You know, the only thing I will say, we're pretty bullish going into this report, mostly because of how the stock's been sold off and our data is very positive. The one thing that does concern me in our data in terms of the Pepsi portfolio is we are seeing a little bit of weakness in some of the cereal brands, the Quakers, the Captain Crunches, that sort of thing. So there may be a shift in terms of meal preference, which could have an outsized impact on revenue. I'm really not sure. I still think of Pepsi as a soft drink and snack company, but we do see a little bit of warning signs on the breakfast side of things, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, as someone raised on Fruit Loops, I was never a big fan of the Captain Crunch brand, frankly, Andy. But we appreciate you coming on, as always, Andy, spending some time with us, and basically refuting Walmart and Wall Street's views of what PepsiCo should be doing. It's going to be interesting tomorrow. Thanks for coming on, Andy.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
all right,
Andy.
Nick, back to us. Now we've got the LikeFolio data that basically refutes what not only the price action in PepsiCo is saying, but what the general Walmart and what the news is saying. So we'll see who's right tomorrow morning when they come out with earnings. But for a trade